your show. When I was in the hospital for cancer, every Monday I just looked forward to it. Every day, just me and my boyfriend watched it. And him.
Oh, that's great.
And my question is, the book that Norman finds in the hotel, would that ever be available in print?
You've seen it online, right? You can actually get the, you can look at it on the internet and download it. There were some print copies floating around. Maybe we can get you one, but we'll get you one. But there were just a few that were made, but unfortunately, it's not actually going to be a published book. But we will get you one.
Oh. And I love film.
Hi, my name is Jeff. I think one of the most surprising and rewarding parts of the first season was the development of the Dylan character. I think sometimes he served as a specific narrative purpose, but I'm curious from Kelly and Carlton, what's his overall purpose? Why did you create him, and how has he developed in your mind?
Carrie. But I think, for us, we thought of Dylan as basically, we thought it would be really interesting. First of all, by giving Norman a brother, it really basically signaled that we were not, beholden to a literal reproduction of the Hitchcock storyline, and that, there's obviously no brother in that, in the movie, and it just felt intriguing that people would either say, well, I didn't know that Norman had a brother, or what happens to that guy, or he's not in the movie. But mainly it was a way for us to sort of have another window, sort of a kind of a character who was kind of looking in from the outside at this very intense, interesting, multi-layered relationship between Norma and Norman, and we wanted to have some character who was close to them, but sort of gave us a perspective on that, who could sort of watch the interactions between the two of them, and in a way be sort of the audience's way of sort of objectively measuring that relationship. So that was how it started, and then I think, like all good things, when you're doing a television show, you start developing the characters, so you see what the actor brings, and we were really fortunate to cast Max, and the more we sort of saw what he was doing, the more we just think the character just kind of grew, and that's really the best part of being a writer in television, is you have this ongoing relationship with the characters. You're not just writing something and then having it performed and then it ends. You write something and it starts an interactive relationship in a very organic process, and so it's really something that was kind of somewhat of a arbitrary notion at the beginning, seems so essential to the show now, and that's just one of the great parts of the creative collaboration of doing a TV show.
Considering Norman's Oedipal and dissociative disorders, I was wondering if the writers or any of the staff did any psychiatric research on the subject.
Oh, I've done a lot of psychiatric research. A lifetime. Yeah, of course you do. The first question is what is Norman's disorder, so we had to figure that out and do research and talk to doctors, and it got described as a dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yep.
But yeah, where you basically, it's actually, I'll say this really briefly because I could talk about this for like 2 hours, so I won't. But if you go through childhood trauma and you are really damaged, there's different parts of your personality that will come out at different stress moments to basically take over and protect the host. So that is essentially what's happening with him. And then the Oedipal thing, that's a whole other circus. You get to lay on top of that. So it's actually one of the reasons the show is so much fun to write for, and so unlike any other show that I've ever written for, is because there really is like a secret code to it, because you're dealing with so many different perceptions of reality. And it's kind of like doing a puzzle sometimes, and it's really fun.
Hello? Okay. Hi, question is for the creators. I was wondering, how far do you envision carrying the story into Norman's adulthood?
You know, I think that Bates Motel is a story with a beginning, middle, and end, and you know, we want to tell the whole arc of that story. I think that, you know, hopefully by the end of the season, we will have a pretty good idea of how long the story should last, and it's something that we're actually talking about right now. But you know, I think it is. I think people do want to get to the end of the journey. It is not. It is not an endless journey. It is not something where, you know, I don't think that we're doing, you know, 14 years of Bates Motel, and you know, so our idea, I think, is to tell the story as best we can in the right amount of time, and I think creatively you kind of figure that out as you go along. I mean, I think the same was true on Lost. Sort of around the third season of the show is when we sort of figured out kind of how much more time we needed to finish that show, and I think we're kind of getting to the place where I hope soon we'll have an idea of exactly how long the show's going to last.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say I love the show, obviously. But I want to, this is for the cast. I was just wondering what made you interested in the show? Like, why did you pick this script and decide to do it?
It was just so different, mostly not because of the Bates Motel or anything that comes with. Just thought the character was so different to anything that I've ever played, and saw it as a real challenge. So I was very character driven, and then I sort of did my research and did all that bit and stuff. But
Carlton sent me the first 6 scripts, and he called me first and said, would you be interested in playing a part? I said, of course, you know. So he sent me the first 6 scripts, which is really unusual. Usually you don't get it, you get a pilot. And I was up all night reading it. Couldn't stop reading it. It was such a page turner. As if you saw the first 6 episodes, you can see why. So to me, it's always, if it's on the page, it's going to translate. Much harder to do good work when it's not on the page. And I knew it was going to be, obviously, with Carlton and Carrie. And it's just brilliant writing. I mean, how could you, as an actor, not want to do brilliant character-driven work?
Are we done? Or can I? Yeah, I just look at female characterizations the way my 4.5-year-old son looks at Legos, and he doesn't want the janky Duplo Lego set for like 2. He wants the one for 14. He wants to do the Imperial Shuttle, with the double rotating laser cannons, and that's Norma Bates. She's the Imperial Shuttle of female characters. And it's just so rich what they write for me. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, Norman Bates isn't such a bad game, is he? No, as everyone said, the scripts were brilliant, and also, Vera had already signed on and agreed to do it, and working with Carlton and Carrie, we had a good Skype and seemed to get along. So everyone was incredibly behind it, not having a pilot process and going straight to 10 episodes made you feel that everyone really believed in it, and so it was easy to kind of get drawn into that vision.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really benefited enormously from incredible support from A&E, and they were so behind the show and so believed in the concept, and they basically allowed us to write all these scripts, and that really created an incredible opportunity that rarely you get in television. Normally you write one script, a pilot, and then you make the pilot, and you're kind of trying to shove everything in the box that is that pilot, and it's not really the best thing for the creative process. And they were so, as I said, they were so supportive and so behind the project, and I think that by virtue of that, we were then able to create the material, which then attracted these actors, and so a lot of kudos goes to A&E for that.
Oh, there we go. Vera.
Yes, sir.
Crispy Bacon says hi. You remember Chris Bacon from Source Code?
Oh!
Yeah. He says hi. And then on that note, Carlton and whoever else wants to chime in, since he's the composer, do we get to hear the classic at some point?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, I think we sort of stayed away from it because, again, you know, we really, you know, I think, you know, Carrie and I talk about this a lot, and it's that the idea of being sort of doing homages to the original, I feel throws you out of the story that you're telling, and I don't want.
Throws you out of the reality.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you're watching it and you're like, yeah, and you're immediately dislodged from being in Bates Motel, and you're thinking, oh, that's that, you know, cool Bernard Herrmann piece of music, and so I think that's why we would resist doing it, you know, and I think subtle homages, you know, you know, we're doing the whole, you know, but kind of changed up is good. So the whole scene in the pilot, for instance, where they put the body in the shower, and but then really the fun of the scene is Romero comes in and he's, you know, taking a leak next to the dead body. And so it's just, yes, we were in the motel and we had a dead body in the shower, but it wasn't somebody showering in the same way as the movie. So, you know, I think that in smaller ways, we like the idea of referencing the movie, and certainly like the taxidermy stuff, you know, things like that, but we just don't want to throw you out of our story by doing too large an homage.
My question is for Vera. First of all, I can't wait to see The Conjuring. I'm so excited for it. Character is and how you yell about everything that Norman does and everything that goes on. So my question is, what's it like playing a very dramatic character who exaggerates so much, and how do you prepare for scenes like that?
See, I don't think she's exaggerating. Anyway, and I will dispute that. But you know, yeah, it's a rigorous role. It's emotional, and she turns. She's like the wind, you know, and. It's exhausting sailing those seas, but it's just exhausting. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. And the writing is so precise that I don't know. I suppose that's my sail. You know, that's
Vera,
what I
when you
rely on.
when you look back at season 1, what would you say was probably the most challenging scene to pull off?
So many. I would say it's the admission of ancestry. Yeah, I think either that or the rape scene, just physically was grueling. But probably the last scene.
I just want to say one thing about Vera. I mean, Vera has to do so much emotionally, as you pointed out, and I've never worked with an actor who has that kind of emotional load. A, makes it look effortless, and B, rarely goes to her trailer. She's there on the set the whole time. So as talented as an actress as you get one of the most giving actors I've ever worked with. So pretty special.
It does seem effortless, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, you think it probably takes so much work to get there, but then it's just so natural and throwaway and playing against the emotion. It's brilliant.
But this guy always shows up on those hardest scenes. I get so nervous when Mama and Papa Bear come to set, and it's that.
Just to support.
Hi. I had a question for the producers. At first I was a little hesitant about the show because I'm a big fan of the sequels, especially Part 4 with Olivia Hussey and Henry Thomas as the younger versions. But you guys really hooked me in by mixing it with something else that I love, Twin Peaks. And I want to know, in the future seasons, will there be any chance of us seeing actors like Ray Wise or Cheryl Lee or Kyle MacLachlan maybe showing up in town? I think it would be awesome. Like, I went through Twin Peaks withdrawal after watching it, and then I found all these shows like The Killing and your show and stuff that has a little bit of Twin Peaks in it, and it just makes it, you know, the withdrawal a little better.
You know, that we love Twin Peaks, and you know, it was you know, one of a number of things that definitely, sort of that we talked about when we were creating the show. All those actors are fantastic. I mean, so much of it is sort of circumstantial. You kind of have this, you have a collision of a role and then actors, and it's, it certainly would be fun if it worked out that we could get somebody from Twin Peaks to be on our show, and we'll have to just sort of see if there's the right alignment of role and actor.
Thank you. Thanks.
Vera, I fell in love with you in The Departed. I could not stop looking at you in The Departed. And I am really, really happy that the Emmys put you and Jessica Lange in 2 different categories. Otherwise, I would pop. This question is really for Carlton. I'm rooting for you. I want to know definitively whether or not in the 2nd season we're going to see more shirtless scenes of Max and Nestor, because this bear is demanding it.
Are you gonna pop?
What about Freddie?
I was hoping for a love interest, but I didn't know it was gonna be Max.
The show could turn in surprising ways. Well, we are shooting in the summer, so that is actually very pumped. Shirtless scenes in Vancouver in the winter are not easy, but we'll see. We got to take that back to the writers' room. And, duly noted.
Hello, my name is Lynette Grant, and I first of all want to say hello again to Carlton and say that there's so much you can watch on television nowadays, but with Lost and everything that you give us, I will gladly trust my television time with you and know that it's always going to be a good bet. So thank you. And because of all of my things love of Lost, I must say that I view Max and Emma as our Hurley combined, because they definitely tell us the story through the eyes of someone from the outside, and you love them throughout, whereas sometimes the other ones are like, I don't like you today. And speaking of people that I really don't like, Nestor, I love you as Richard. Like, I have a bobblehead of you. You were my favorite dude. Even when I didn't know what you were up to, I loved you. I hate you in this, and I think it's fantastic that you are so good that I love to hate you. So can you talk to me about kind of going from this timeless character that people kind of love and idolize to this person? It's like the only time I think I tweeted to Carlton personally, I was like, whoa, he is no joke. So.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons I was drawn to the role, is because I didn't really care for him much either. But no, I obviously did it in the end, and I'm resisting trying to make him, a likable, on the surface guy. I think we'll come to understand him, and as I'm reading these next episodes in the 2nd season, we'll get to know him more and what's underneath him and what kind of pressure he's under. I don't want to give away too much, but I never want to play likability. I just want to play what my character wants, and whether you like him or not, I think, hopefully I might earn that later. But,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a 2-part question. I'm the mother of a child with cystic fibrosis, and I wanted to know why you chose to have Emma have cystic fibrosis. And number 2, Olivia, you're so abusive to that oxygen bottle. And that is reality of the people I know with cystic fibrosis, so I wanted to know how you were inspired to act as a person with CF.
I have known 2 people in my life that have cystic fibrosis, and I always admired that it didn't define them. They lived with it, and they had goals like everybody, and I love that for that character. And in a larger sense, it seemed really interesting in this sort of arch world of life and death and Norman Bates to actually put a person who had a real life-death situation they dealt with every day. It seemed very grounding and interesting, and that she would be an interesting counterpart for Norman.
And I've honestly never met, still to this day, anyone with cystic fibrosis, but when I got the script through and I spoke to people, they had so many stories of the siblings, the family members, the friends that had cystic fibrosis, and it's just not brought to light as much as other illnesses are. But what I loved about Emma is that, yeah, she has this illness, but she never once craves a sympathy vote or ever speaks about it, other than when she meets Norman and asks if he's got an illness in a really weird, creepy way. So she's just the character, she's everything but her disability.
Hi, my name is Nick. My question is for Carlton and Carrie. At the end of the 1983 film, Psycho 2, we learn that Norma is actually not Norman's mother, but his aunt. And that Emma Spool is Norma's sister, who is insane and in an insane asylum. Are you going to touch on any part of that story?
I'm confused.
No. I mean, they had their own mythology, and we have our own mythology. You know, we pay homage to the original movie, but you know, it would be impossible for us to try to kind of analyze everything and hold it all in sort of one canon. So I think for us, we took kind of some of the iconic things from the original Psycho movie, and then sort of felt like, okay, we're just going to tell our own story, and we'll create our own set of relationships, backstories, interrelationships. So, those guys kind of have their own version of the story, and we have ours.
This will be the last question.
Congratulations again to Vera. And is there going to be any story, this is for the writers, is there going to be any storyline between Norma and Norman where there's more murders between them, where they work together?
They're starting a business. You know, you don't really plan out storytelling that way. I mean, we certainly didn't want to do that this year, because then it does become a little silly, you know, like every year we're going to kill somebody and hide from the police. So not imminently, but I mean, they do live in a world that is full of uncertainty and danger and strange motives, so who knows?
They love and want to protect each other, so, whatever happens to one resonates very much into the life of the other, so, you never know.
That's all the time we have for questions today. First of all, I want to thank everyone for making the effort coming out today. I know the cast and producers really appreciate it. And Carlton actually has an announcement.
A couple, you guys got some keys when you came in, so a couple of lucky fans, if you have the number 4 on your key, you get to go to the base motel party, and please see Megan, who's in the back there under the lobby sign. So we'll see a couple of you guys at the party, and thank you guys so much for coming out to today. We really, really appreciate it.